Hello, the topic of this video is about romantic literature and the beginnings of how it got all started. I really had this original idea of like going down from the basis of how we write romantic literature until like the new age of like just obscene profanity of just smut writing, if that's a good way of saying it. But yeah, I just want to get into the start of romantic literature, which originally, like the first literature ever written about romance was in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt love poetry is dating back to around 1300 BCE, some of the oldest recorded romantic literature in history. These poems are vivid, expressive, and full of metaphors and imagery that celebrates love, desire, and admiration between lovers. Most of their surviving poetry was written during Egypt's New Kingdom period. So let me talk about the poetic structure and language. Egyptian love poetry was often written in verse form and contained rhythmic and musical quality. Although it lacks rhyme, seems typical of some later poetry, it used repetition, parallelism, and vivid metaphors to create an almost song-like cadence. The poems were likely performed aloud, possibly even sung, making them a form of shared cultural experience that might have been enjoyed by both men and women, from working class to elite. The language used in these poems is rich with alliteration, symbolic language, which makes the poetry feel expressive and powerful, even in translations. Egyptian hieratic script, the cursive writing of hieroglyphs used in these poems allowed for fluid lyrical form that was well suited to express emotion. An example is Zerdaviz. She is the one who makes every man turn his head, lovely of heart, without a second. She is like the star that appears at the beginning of a lucky year. The poetry is very simple, but in ancient Egypt they use a lot of symbols and imagery in depth. Natural world plays an essential role in it. Specific plants and animals and landscapes carry symbolic meanings, like the lotus flower, often used symbol of beauty and rebirth. Lotus also associated with sensuality, beloved physical appeal, and the blooming of the lotus of the rising sun. Birds are also like birds like doves and swallows, often symbolize lovers' feelings of freedom and longing. Rivers and water, like the Nile River, life-giving force, of a symbol of abundance and continuity. And then there was figs and sycamore trees. Fruits were used to symbolize fertility and abundance, with the fig tree specifically associated with sensuality and physical allure. Now I want to talk about gender dynamics. Ancient Egyptian love poems are intriguing because they often feature the voices of both men and women. Unlike in some later societies, which is mostly just guys just talking about like women, i.e. Shakespeare. But Egyptian poetry frequently gives women an active and empowered role in the romantic dialogue. Female speakers express desire, admiration, and even frustration, sometimes with boldness and playfulness. For example, a female lover might describe herself as lovesick or mad with desire, portraying love as an intense and physical experience. This duality is hearing from both lovers suggests a balanced perspective on romantic relationship where both men and women were seen as passionate individuals with desires and emotion. It also indicates that Egyptian society may have held more egalitarian views on romantic love, with women's voices and experiences regarded as integral. I need to look up what egalitarian means. It means relating to or believing in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. So I guess Egypt was pretty much more progressive than current America, but onward. Now I'm going to show you an example of like an expert of like sickness of love. Another an excerpt of like this woman talking to about this guy, sometimes even fatal and reflecting its overpowering force. My heart is taken from me, my chest aches, I am lovesick, and my life is fading. For my love has left me, and I wither like the grass. Even me as like, I'm not a writing book nerd or like something, I'm not good at like writing in general. That's why I'm doing this so I can learn a little bit. But yeah, this seems really nice. It uses metaphors like he sees himself as grass, and it's really simple, nothing too complicated, and it's just really easy love poems that anybody could write today. Like maybe a elementary schooler can write this, but this was like idolized and romanticized in like their time. So now I want to talk about the social and religious context of these. Love and romance, as expressed in these poems, are not separated from spirituality in Egyptian culture. Many deities were associated with love and fertility, such as Hathor, the goddess of love, music, and joy. Hathor was seen as a patron of lovers, and temples to her were common places for devotion. Poems that praise love often subtly invoke her influence, showing how love was perceived as both a natural emotion and a divine blessing. In festival ceremonies dedicated to love and fertility, Egyptians may have recited or sung these poems as part of the ritual. Love poetry might have also been used in wedding ceremonies, where it was common to celebrate the union of two individuals with a verse, symbolizing the joy and harmony of their partnership. Yeah, so what I want to analyze from this is that socially, like, it was acceptable to have like two people per one person, and religiously, like, this was before like the Song of Songs, which was like mostly the Bible talking about love. So this is like pre-Bible like love, but it looks like monogamy was really popular even during these times. So influence on later literature. Ancient Egyptian love poetry has had a long-lasting impact on other cultures, influencing the Greek and Roman romantic traditions as well as those Middle East. For example, the Greek and Romans later adopted Egyptian themes, longing and idealized love as well as notion of love as a powerful force. This idea of lovesickness continued to resonate through centuries of literature, appearing in medieval European poetry and even in modern romantic works. So I guess just the Egyptians literally created lovesickness, or like you keep on thinking about this person, or like this person just like is your one and only and you can't, get them. Kind of like the feeling of longing. The earliest literature, romantic literature that could ever happen, which was like simple poems. Despite being written thousands of years ago, the emotional honesty and universality of ancient Egyptian love poetry make it relatable even today. The poems reveal that the essential experience of being in love, with all its pleasures, pains, and longings, has remained remarkably consistent. This enduring nature is why these works still resonate, as they capture fundamental parts of human nature. Our desire for connection, beauty, and belonging, expressed with tenderness and timeless. I think I want to, give us some examples of like what the ancient Egyptians were thinking. This was like, here's a map, like thousands of years ago. I'll just show it up in the video, but yeah. Let me talk about. I just grabbed a few examples. Example 1: Admiration of the Beloved. This poem expresses the speaker admirations for beauty and allure of the beloved. My love is one and only, without peer, more beautiful than anyone. She is like the star that appears at dawn, shining bright when the sun rises. She shines, glistens, perfect in her beauty. She has captured my heart with her radiant gaze. She has stolen it with the way she looks. I don't have to. I think I talked about this earlier, but they love using symbolism for like their yearning for love, and this is just a good example of like, oh, this person's literally my star, and I can't stop looking at it because she shines brightly as a star. Example 2: Yearning and longing, or the more back to the love sickness. Would I were her laundryman, that I might come close to my beloved, just to touch her clothes and caress the folds of her linen. I saw this example multiple times. It's a little creepy. I don't know. I feel like love can be like a little more of the creep side of it. Just like, oh, I want to touch your clothes, right? But yeah, this is just showing the simplicity of like, I just want to be close to them, or like show that like how people, and just admire people from afar. It is kind of different, or it's different in our modern age. Talking about it because now we're in a super like hyper culture where like we can just get anybody from the world, or like not get anywhere, but we're so connected, or like we're so globally connected but like singularly like separated from everybody. And it's insane that like this like simple literature has become so like big, and it's not even for like guys used to like this stuff, right? Like Shakespeare wrote about love every day. But like now I'm seeing less and less of that, which is like why it's so curious to me that like, oh, like guys devolve from love or romantic literature and more into like I don't know, I guess I can say thirst traps, right? Like so many thirst traps. Yeah, and this is not just only on guys doing it. Girls also do this too. There's like literature is like meant to be shared and meant to be like passed on and on. But since we can have like a video format, or even like a shorter video brain rot format of like love, I feel like it's kind of hard to like, know actual love. There's a bunch of videos talking about like dating culture and like dating things. I just want this video to be talking about like these people just didn't like know each other. Like this is pre-internet, lasted for like thousands and thousands of centuries of just like, you only have this one wife, or you only have this one man, or like on one husband. But now people are like more of a, I have options, time to go into my let me see, I found like a good way of like I found a literally I was watching TikTok, I'm like, oh, this is crazy, this is exactly what it is. Here it is, I found it, the browsing era of like, romance, which is kind of weird. I feel like just because we have this like hyper active internet, we have like this browsing era of like, hey, we have options, but statistically it's all proven that like only the top 10 or like 10 out of 10 guys are the only ones getting these options, while everybody else, even like a 5 out of 10 guy, doesn't get these options. And then these 5 out of 10s are still 5 out of 10s. Like they're not like bad looking, but they're like, not perfect looking either. But like these people should be average. Like this is the average. Like as I say, 5 out of 10, I'm more like thinking of the, the regular average of a person, right? But it's crazy like how these dynamics have changed with like dating apps, and like how this literature has also changed with this, because now like guys don't talk about literature. I think maybe they do. Send me some recommendation of guys talking about literature, but I just want to go through like, I want to learn to be all like, oh, was romantic literature, because I thought Romeo and Juliet was the earliest one, but now I'm like figuring out, oh, the Egyptians were actually the earliest ones to write this literature, and then after this would be the Song of Songs, which would be like mostly just Bible literature, which like is a preface to like most Western like Western romance. So that's where I'm like here like, oh, this is actually really interesting, where like this just evolved into, we started with poetry, now we're at this guy coming, pool boys. I'm just gonna say pool boys. I'm gonna call these people pool boys, like, or like Twilight, I guess, is like one example of modern literature, where it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's more like these it. That's why I'm like here like, maybe if I figure out like, maybe if I go back in time, seeing like how it like where we did wrong, right? Like what happened, I could figure out like what happened that went wrong with literature being more smut. That's what I want to know. Or maybe it's people love smut, and always people have loved smut, and then maybe I'm just clueless to it. But yeah, that's the whole point of the video. If this gets, I don't know, 10 likes, I'll go do Song of Songs, which is more of like the preface of like Western romance.